Let's start with the rapid fire round. The first question is, at what age do you want to retire?
Never.
How long does it take you to get ready in the mornings?
Short.
Most embarrassing moment of your life?
Unknown.
Favorite color?
Blue.
What time of day are you most inspired?
Evenings.
How many hours of sleep can you survive on?
4.
Fill in the blank. An upcoming technology trend is blank.
Disruptive.
The city in which the best kiss of your life happened.
Rio.
Pick one. Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
The biggest mistake of your career.
Fear.
How do you relax?
Working out.
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
5.
The most valuable skill you've learned in life.
Adaptability.
One word description of your leadership style.
Impact.
Top priority in your daily schedule.
Impact as well, I guess. Yes.
Ideal vacation spot for relaxation.
A beach.
Key factor for maintaining a work-life balance.
Love what you do.
All right, that's the end of the rapid fire. Let's go on to the longer questions, which you can answer with as much time and ease as you like. The first one is, can you elaborate on some specific challenges you faced during the establishment of the United Nations WFP Innovation Accelerator, and how did you overcome them?
When we started the World Food Program Innovation Accelerator, people thought that's a crazy idea because we are replicating what Silicon Valley does for global social impact. And overcoming first the fear of, on the one hand, how can you actually adapt that? Of people that, that did not believe was one factor, of course. But the other one was actually that nobody had really done that before, right? Because it's a global accelerator program for developing countries. So helping hungry people in developing countries. And so we needed to adapt and learn and take the best of what's happening in the business world. And at the same time, take in the realities of the World Food Program, serving people, hungry people in over 120 countries and territories.
How have these challenges evolved over time, and were there any unexpected opportunities or breakthrough moments that emerged from navigating these challenges?
So over time, we of course figured out how do we actually run these programs? And our first design choice turned out to be working really well. So we are running what we call innovation boot camps. It's a 1-week training program where we bring those startups and innovators together, and then they go back and co-develop their solutions with their users, with the people that they're serving. And by now, we are running a total of 20 different social impact accelerator programs, all across the world, for different global social impact problems like ending hunger, humanitarian response, climate action, gender equality, primary healthcare, vaccine delivery. And I think what we now know is that startups and innovation, they actually have an impact. So they have impacted the lives of over 60 million people already last year, and they've raised $295 million of grant funding, not counting equity investments.
So you mentioned that the WFP Innovation Accelerator addresses various social impact and sustainability issues. Could you highlight one or two specific programs or initiatives within the accelerator that have made a significant difference in addressing these issues?
One innovation, which is an internal World Food Program innovation I want to mention, is called Optimus. It's a big data optimization tool that helps us optimize supply chain routes and also food baskets. By doing that, we've saved over $50 million already that have been reinvested into more food for hungry people across the planet. Another example I want to mention, it's called Nihilus. It's a social business that actually brings cosmetically rejected or food that's about to expire from farms to urban food deserts. It's a fully for-profit model, and what they're tackling is that people who are otherwise too poor to afford a healthy diet, they are now able to afford it via these digital platforms. And we're helping them scale right now in Colombia and also in Peru. Now, just to say, these are the types of startups that really inspire me because they show there is hope and we can do something to end hunger right now and even tackle climate change.
And so how do you collaborate with local stakeholders and partners to ensure the relevance and effectiveness of these initiatives that you just mentioned?
Everything we do at the World Food Program Innovation Accelerator is geared towards local innovation. So the startups we're working with, they're co-developing with the users or the people that they are serving. So that's happening as we speak. In our secret superpower as well, Food Program, we have the field network. So we're active in 120 countries and territories, which means that there's World Food Program staff who work with the local communities, NGOs, governments, the local people that are on the ground, and have the knowledge also like what it takes to actually end hunger there. And so this is an important factor, is like, how do you really learn fast and also co-develop those solutions with the people you're serving?
So let's talk a bit about Share the Meal now. It has been recognized as one of the best apps of the year by both Apple and Google. Can you share insights into the marketing strategies that contributed to its success, especially in mobilizing such a large user base for social impact?
So for Share the Meal, I really contribute a lot of the success to the basic idea behind it. We want to make it easy for people to donate. For 70 cents, you can feed a child or an adult for a day. Like, you can just share a meal with one touch on your smartphone. And also it's about, you and I, if we're having dinner or we're having drinks together, why don't you want to share your meal with a child in it? And it's so simple and so cheap. And I think it's about this basic idea that there's so many people out there who want to do good, but they don't know how. And together we can have so much impact. And by now it's almost 230 million shared meals. So over $150 million that have been coming together by people. You might just share one meal, but then, maybe you and your friends together, you can have so much more impact.
So how exactly does the app work?
So everybody can download it on the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Once you have the app, you can literally just choose what's the cause that you actually want to support, whether it's like supporting families that I need right now in Palestine, people who are fleeing in Sudan, whether it's actually supporting smallholder farmers in Zambia, Rwanda, like different places. You can choose with one tap. You can then choose to share like one meal or more, and then you just donate it, with Apple Pay or Google Pay or any credit cards or PayPal, and that's what makes it so simple.
So all of this, I suppose, involves changing people's minds to want to work for the better. And your TED Talk recently emphasized the importance of a mindset shift in tackling global challenges. Can you provide examples of specific mindset shifts you believe are necessary, especially within the context of addressing hunger and food insecurity?
A lot of people that come to me, they don't know about basic facts, and also as it pertains to hunger. Hunger is actually a very solvable issue. But then again, a lot of people feel that, they are excited about technology, about, like rockets going into space, but then not about ending hunger. Why is that? Because we have this kind of fixed mindset that innovation and technology doesn't apply to these big global problems. And I think there's a big opportunity if people believe we can make a difference, and there's hope, and there's like little action that everybody can take. Somebody can donate, but you can also, maybe within your job or as a startup founder, there's so many problems that can be tackled, and there's even an opportunity to do more.
And what about mindset shifts within your own team? So how do you cultivate a culture of innovation and risk-taking within your team and the broader ecosystem of partners and collaborators?
So a lot of the people that work on our team actually have been coming to the World Food Program as the first time to work for the United Nations. and they are serial entrepreneurs. They've been working in innovation teams in tech companies. So it's within their DNA or the mindset already that they are the ones that push innovation. We also have colleagues who have been startup founders in developing countries, and so we bring in that skill set of innovation, of pushing boundaries that are, impossible or believed impossible to actually solve. And I think this is one of the challenges that we sometimes play, where working together with partners, you need to actually be able to transcend different boundaries. It's not just knowing what innovation means, but also like with other people actually know the problems on the ground. How can you actually bring that together? And I think being able to communicate, to bring working with people, I think is a key skill set, which is coming together with the ability to innovate, but also being empowered. And I truly believe in that, where if you're an innovation team, everybody's opinion counts. So like, it's just something where, all your working style, all the way you're running meetings, that has to be organized in a way that we know that the person who's actually running and doing the work, they are probably the ones that need to be pushing those innovations forward.
And speaking again of collaborating and working and changing the mindset of partners as well, how do you market and position all your programs to attract the attention of potential partners, funders, and innovators in the social impact space?
Marketing is an often overlooked topic in the social impact space, specifically because a lot of times people see that as wasteful or something that you might not even need. But I really believe that so many people want to support social impact goals, but they have never heard about it, or they don't know how. And I think this is a role where the language specifically towards getting a broader audience involved, so not just the experts, but like maybe being at a tech conference like VivaTech or at other places, it's a great opportunity. Because if you think about it, like if you have an AI engineer, maybe that AI engineer can have a multiple impact doing something with social impact rather than just doing what they do in their day job. Similarly, you have a lot of companies that want to actually contribute more. And there's so many opportunities, like in marketing. I think showing that there's hope and showing that you can actually do something with innovation is a great opportunity, specifically when there's a lot of bad news in the news otherwise.
So what strategies would you recommend for social impact entrepreneurs to maximize their marketing efforts on a limited budget? How can they ensure their message resonates without compromising their values?
So the first step is, of course, like, depends on what stage they're in. Like, ideally, you do have a big vision, so you're connecting whatever you do to like towards solving that bigger vision that you're imagining, staying truthful to what you actually can accomplish, because it can be daunting. Like, let's say in the area of climate change, right? Like, if you are a startup, maybe you alone will not be able to end climate change globally. However, you can describe what that is, like how you can actually contribute. Similarly, once you have traction, you can actually show what difference you've made to the world, to the people that you're serving. And like, I think that's important, where in a business world, oftentimes people look at, revenue, profits, other KPIs in that regard. But in social impact, it's about helping people. Like, what have you actually done to tangibly change people's lives to the better? And, especially if you're a startup and you don't have a lot of funds, is like really also like taking like marketing, or like your personal marketing is something that's important. If you are the founder or the founding team, people are excited. People want to feel the passion, the excitement that you have. And it's your job, among other things, about doing all the great work to solving a problem, to also be their spokesperson and the champion for the cause that you're there.
And so collaboration is an important part of marketing as well. The collaboration with Google for Startups that you've done is an exciting development in the fight against hunger. Can you discuss how these 10 innovative solutions were selected and what criteria were used to determine their potential impact?
So we are collaborating with Google for Startups for years already. We're actually one of the accelerators globally that are a partner of the Google for Startups ecosystem, where we benefit from that for years already, from free support and also knowledge from Google. Now, the current collaboration with Google for Startups is actually about $2.8 million also of grant funding and support we're receiving from Google for Startups and Google.org. And with a specific goal of how we can solve humanitarian issues with technology. And so what we've selected in that case were specifically impactful startups and innovations within the World Food Program that can be having these breakthrough moments, whether it's like supply chain optimization, bringing carbon optimization also in supply chain optimization, or using AI for essentially not only determining where hunger is right now, but looking into the future, essentially future casting that type of hunger. I think that's where, it's sometimes maybe not the most obvious examples of innovations, but the ones that are prioritized by impact that we could achieve with those startups.
So speaking of innovation, could you share an example of a startup or innovation supported by the WFP Innovation Accelerator that faced initial challenges but ultimately achieved significant impact? How did the accelerator support them through this journey?
Now, this is very interesting because every startup journey, like, you will face challenges. In those challenges, you either overcome them or I guess you will not be in business at some point anymore. And I think for every startup, you actually need to get used to, like, there will be constant challenges. Even if something is going really well, you will have other challenges. And it depends really, like early stage startups, later stage startups, those challenges, they are just shifting. And maybe let me take a social business. And Sanko, which we supported, they create a small device for smaller farmers to add vitamins and nutrients to, like, maize that's being milled at small mills. And so we actually helped Sanko to expand from Tanzania to Kenya. And what's interesting is that, they have been, like, very successful already, helping like over 2 million people actually via their solution that now have access to nutritious food, so they're not suffering from micronutrient deficiencies, malnutrition. But going from one country to the next, that's a new challenge. And, like, essentially, so we as World Food Program Innovation Accelerator, we help them do that also because we have teams not only in Tanzania but also in Kenya. So we're able to connect them with the local ecosystem, the government, different opportunities with the smaller farmers we're already working with.
And so what role do mentorships and peer support play in all this?
So mentorship is really important because it's one aspect. On the one hand, there's a lot of people that actually want to do good and they want to support. You might be an executive in a company or like a startup founder that you just want to give back to, like, some younger founders that actually work on these social impact challenges. And so we work with mentors globally. They can either be in our programs or innovation bootcamps or in our sprint phase with those startups or innovations. The other aspect, and like this is an important one, looking at like the peer support, it depends a little bit like which program. Sometimes we're running these programs virtually, sometimes we're running them hybrid or in person. Now, of course, the community is oftentimes better when you're doing something in person, but like also in a virtual setting, it is important. Now, what's exciting, and like I see this a lot where startup founders, specifically in the impact space, it's not about competition, but it's about helping each other. And sometimes one startup has already overcome a challenge that somebody else is still facing. And this is, at least I think, one of the powers of being part of an ecosystem and community. And I can only encourage all innovators, all startup founders, if you work on something, seek feedback early by partners, by other startups, get challenged also, because you also want to hear the critical challenges.
So speaking of challenges, the biggest challenge, of course, is zero hunger. It is an ambitious goal that requires collective action. In your opinion, what are some practical steps individuals and organizations can take to contribute towards achieving this goal?
So the sad part is as well that in the last 8 years, we've actually gone backwards, so gone away from zero hunger because of all the conflicts that are happening, because of climate change and also economic shocks. When you think about like specific action that everybody can take, it's, if you start easy, it could be something like, just you could donate, whether it's share the meal, 70 cents, it's a very simple action that everybody can take. But also other charities, like support whatever you care about. Think about also what you can do as an individual. Now, sometimes that's about food loss or waste. Like, what do you do? Where do you buy the food? Do you throw it away? What quality standards do you use in terms of organic food? But if you're purchasing items that are coming from abroad, like what is the quality standard that you're actually using? But then as a company or as a startup founder, what is it that you can do? And I think this is an often overlooked area where, you can actually create a sustainable business that makes money and solves people problems at the same time. And if you're thinking about this, there's enough food on the planet right now to feed everybody. It's a real shame that this problem still persists. We could literally end global hunger right now. So whatever we need to take, I think it's not only possible, but if everybody just does one thing, we have a big chance to actually have impact together for those people.
So moving from the individual to the state, how do you engage with policymakers and governments to advocate for all these policies and initiatives that address the root causes of hunger and food insecurity?
So as World Food Program and also World Food Program Innovation Accelerator, we are largely funded also by governments, but also corporations and foundations, of course, and individuals. Now, we do advocate for the support we need, which historically, unfortunately, we do not receive. Like we typically have a funding gap between like 30 or 50%, so we don't have enough money to even help the most vulnerable people. And then again, when you look into like investing to the future, some of the funding, isn't there. We're engaging with a lot of different governments, and we're having good conversation across the globe with governments about innovations actually being seen as part of hope and the solution, because you have the same leverage you have in private sector. You're investing, and then you have a payback that's multiple into the future. Unfortunately, I think there's still room to grow, but I'm hopeful that, if we excite people about those opportunities, the startups, the innovations, that in showing the impact that they can have right now, that there are a lot more people will get excited and also actually bring more support, whether it's financial support, but also connections with, business ecosystems, public-private partnerships. I think there's lots of opportunities to work on.
So corporations and governments working on this is one thing, but then we have philanthropy. So recently, the announcement of Melinda Gates' departure from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has sparked discussions about the future of philanthropy itself. What trends or shifts do you anticipate in the landscape of global philanthropy in the coming years?
So what I'm seeing that I'm also hopeful about is that philanthropy is getting more professional, which is about like actually looking, not only the causes that you're actually wanting to support, but also looking at the professionalism of like, are your investments making a difference? Is there a return investment on those investments? And I think that's important because like if you're giving a lot of money, ideally that money, at least my personal opinion, will have the biggest impact on the planet, on helping people, on helping the causes that you're actually passionate about. And I think this is where, the transparency and the data and technology that can actually play a big role, because we are able already right now to give feedback on, the work of the startups and innovation that we're working with. But think about that. If we can actually show to you the impact that you can have with your money, then you can make rational choices, even like besides like, the interest that you have, but like, where is the impact the greatest? And I think that has a big opportunity going forward, specifically also as it pertains to technology, because philanthropists, they have maybe a higher risk appetite than what traditional funding or donations might have.
And so what advice would you offer to emerging philanthropists or social impact investors who are looking to make a meaningful difference in the world with their resources?
So I would say if people want to make a difference is like, look into like what type of interventions are actually making a difference and what's the track record of those organizations actually implementing those interventions. Because I oftentimes see this where people are passionate about a particular organization, and that is great. But then you also should look into like what the actual impact is of that work that you're actually funding. And I think that has been some of the early inspirations behind Share the Meal, to give you the feedback of what your donation actually makes, but also as the World Food Program Innovation Accelerator, where you want to know, you want to be able to track and put pressure on like creating results. And at the same time, be willing to also take some risks. Like if you want to see the big impact that you have from the business world, from the tech world innovations, that also is sometimes risky. That you're backing individual organizations, companies, startups. You want to know, do I trust those people? But then also diversify what is going to make a big difference. And then maybe you do some more traditional investments as well.
So let's talk a bit about storytelling. In your experience, what role does storytelling play in effectively communicating social impact initiatives, like Share the Meal, to a broader audience? Can you provide examples of successful storytelling campaigns that resonated with users and donors?
Storytelling is huge, and it's oftentimes related to, a person. It could be the founders, or it could be the person that's the uh, person that's being supported, or like that's being served. And I think just connecting this, like the work that people are doing towards, like, people that are being served and how their life improves is so powerful. We've actually supported another initiative that's called, like citizen storytellers, where the people receiving like food or cash, like they become reporters, and they tell the story from their perspective. How, for instance, like life in a refugee camp is like, how they are perceiving some of these stories. And like, if you as a startup founder or the innovators are actually telling the stories, they're on the ground and you see the impact that you're making, I think that has a tremendous impact, not only on the people receiving that story, but also, on the people that you work with, because it ensures that you're staying truthful to helping people and not just staying somewhere remote.
And so how do you balance the message in a story where there's like the urgency of helping the people in a humanitarian crisis, and also the importance of maintaining a positive and hopeful narrative in your story? How do you balance this need?
So as my role focuses on innovation, I guess I'm the storyteller of hope. There's so much bad news. There's so much crisis that are all around the world. Um, it's my passion that I truly believe in that there is hope, and we can change the world with innovation and technology. And if more people just believe in that, I think we could engage a lot more people around the planet, because a lot of people are disinspired. They are thinking that there's so much negativity. They're shutting down all the noise. And I think that doesn't have to be that way. And of course, like, I think we need to balance this in terms of like innovation and technology cannot solve all the problems, but I think they can give hope to actually solve something and contribute towards a better planet.
All right, so the last question for you is of a personal kind. What would you be doing in your life if not this?
So I'm passionate about impact. So impact for me isn't exactly just about you need to do social impact, for sure. And like, this is where, when I started my career working for Boss Consulting Group, working on actually creating businesses or companies, I think it's the same theme that comes over and over again. It's about like, what can you do to actually improve people's lives through like new businesses, technology, innovation. So I think for me, what I'm really passionate about is doing things, and then, maybe creating a startup, working with large companies, with organizations, maybe investing into startups that create a difference for people. And I think there's so many fields also like that are a lot broader than just in pure social impact or sustainability, where people can make an impact. And I think probably in somewhere in that space, that's what I would do.